Welcome to Real English 2. In today's session, we will discuss the key points to stop studying and start owning the English language. Okay, let's talk now about the problem of studying versus living English. Back in the day, I studied English since I was 9 years old, until I graduated from high school. That same year, I started to study French. And I realized that enjoying the French culture and living the language, speaking, understanding it, movies, music, was much easier than I had thought, especially considering the time it took me to reach the same point in English. Without realizing, I had internalized the ways in which you actually learn a language better. It's not just about studying rules, memorizing vocabulary, and mastering it all 100% before you start living the language. You need to live the language and let your heart and your brain do the work so that it starts storing that language into you. Basically, the other way around. When that doesn't happen, you can study forever and never feel enough. And eventually, you lose motivation and then you quit. Let's talk about mentality. It took me years to let go of that study mentality. During my college years, we were supposed to complete a C2 level book full of grammar exercises. There are about 82 units in it, and I haven't completed them. I used to be a grammar enthusiast, but I stopped. I did the first 8 units, super excited at first, but then I realized it would take me ages to finish them all. So I quit. And yes, I cheated. I said I had finished all the units, but I hadn't. Sorry, teachers. Imagine having to do the same thing to pass a grammar test, level after level. Ugh. I used to believe I had to study a language forever in order to speak like a native. But tell me, do you see native speakers studying their own language? Do you study your own language? That's just not the way we do it. And what about the vocabulary that we need? I used to do exactly the same. I had books and books of marketing, vocabulary, engineering vocabulary, law and science vocabulary, and so on. But hey, I am no engineer. I am no scientist. So I could have been doing that or just reading from a dictionary. It would have been the same. I wouldn't have remembered any of it. Instead, I found I could remember so much more vocabulary and words about the parts of the face and skin because I had watched hours and hours of YouTube makeup videos, something that I love. I remembered tons of fashion vocabulary because I'd read Vogue for years and because I studied fashion design. And I even learned architecture vocabulary because I had watched every season of Property Brothers on TV. And honestly, I am proud of that. I have the vocabulary of the things I know about, the things I enjoy. So here are your options. You can read vocabulary from a manual and study it in your free time, which is a bit boring, just reading for the sake of learning the words. But you can read a dictionary, too, which is also boring, but even random. You can take courses related to your field of study in English, though they are not always easy to find. You can take vocabulary classes at school or university. Or you can do what I did. Immerse yourself in content you love and that's relevant to your work, and start absorbing vocabulary in a natural way. The choice is yours. But once I got rid of that study mentality, I started speaking what I now call real English. Now, a funny anecdote is that I remember visiting London to see some of my Spanish students who are native English speakers, and they told me something that I will never forget. Thank you, Gonza. That was my Spanish student. You know so much more English than we do, Agus. No, no, wait. He actually said, you know so much more English than we do, Agus. But you sound like a book, and we sound more natural. Well, that's me trying to fake the British accent. Sorry. But yeah, that hurts so much. But it changed everything. From then on, I focused on speaking as real as possible. No more sounding like a book. No more perfect grammar. Because that's just not the way it is. So please, try to let go of that ideal English mentality. The one that has you translating, conjugating verbs in your mind, and doubting yourself. Instead, embrace the real English. Now, to truly own a language, you need to understand two key concepts: intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. The first one is the drive you have to do something because you love it. The satisfaction comes from the activity itself. For example, speaking, reading, or listening in English because you genuinely enjoy what you are reading. In my case, French was easier for me partly because when I was 8, I fell in love with a boy who had a French last name. Yeah, I wanted to learn French for him. I embraced the stereotypes of French culture, speaking French, listening to French music, eating French food, dreaming of the Eiffel Tower. Yeah. Later, I studied fashion design, and to me, fashion was all about French elegance and lifestyle. I was so curious and passionate about it that learning French was a piece of cake. So, when the drive comes from within, learning becomes much easier. Extrinsic motivation, on the other hand, is doing something for an external reward, like money, praise, grades, or even being able to talk to your crush, which happened to me. For some, it's traveling, getting a job, connecting with family abroad, or surviving in another country. The truth is, the best results come when you combine both. Find something that you love about the language and a goal that pushes you from the outside. So now I'll leave you with two questions. Number one, what are the things that genuinely interest you about the English language? And two, what external factors motivate you to learn, speak, and live it? In other words, what drives you? The love for the language itself and the things you can do with it? Or a goal outside of you? Okay, thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next session where we'll go deeper into this to design our own training routine. See you soon. Bye.